So, living on your sunline sounds like it would be an incredible experience, but does come with its challenges. So, let's talk about the astrocartography of living on your sunline. All right. Hey, you all. What's up? What's poppin'? What's crackin' lackin'? Hi, how are you? How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well, wherever you are, whenever it is you happen to be watching this video. So, I'm doing well. Thank you very much. You see, we got the little unit on right now, whatever. But yeah, I'm doing well. It's rapidly entering fall season. So, y'all know that's my favorite time of year. We getting cozy. And so, today I just wanted to come with like a fun topic that's not a consumer product or like a simple vlog or something. So, something that has been very interesting is that I have had the opportunity to live on my sun line and my Saturn line in astrology. So here's the thing. Even though I dabble in astrology, I wouldn't call myself an astrologer. So, what I'm going to do is highly recommend that you go over to some astrology channels here on YouTube to learn more about astrocartography because I think they do a better job of explaining it than I do. But yeah, so some channels that I would highly recommend would be AstroKit, KRS channel, Astrology with Heather. Chow, there's so many out there. Okay. I think there's even astrocartography with Helena. So those are just a couple channels. I would say go look and read up on that. That we could call that the required reading for this video. But look up, what that is. Basically, for me, I've done all the astrology things of getting my natal chart read. I have, I know my big three, rising sun, moon, all that stuff. And so, yeah, basically, I've had the opportunity um to kind of like, I guess, just feel out the energies. And it's a little bit different living on your sun line versus your Saturn line. I'm not going to be disclosing like where those places are, just for my own peace of mind. But yeah, it's a very different experience, even though, everyone kind of like everybody talks up sun energy. And I have a very unique experience with it. And I think it's just like my placement and how my chart is. But I have natally Saturn opposing my sun. So yeah, I always think like sun energy can be kind of hard for me as far as like expressing it. But we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. The one thing I do want to share, child, is living on your sun line will definitely cause you to go through some ego death, some ego lessons. That is something that I experienced greatly. I guess I was kind of romanticizing the experience, right? Which kind of placated my ego. I thought, if I go and move to my sunline, life is going to be great. It's going to be perfect. Everything is going to work out for me. It's going to be positive vibes, like very Leo energy. I was just like, yes, girl, it's going to be positive energy, good vibes only. Like, I'm down. Let's go. And yeah, chill. I got a rude awakening. Okay, some things did happen that were positive. I think one of the biggest things for sure is just kind of getting out of these conditional patterns that I had been raised to believe. Living on my sunline definitely challenged that. Like, as far as, when you're so used to living one way and you're like, man, life would just be so much easier if I went and did this or if I went and lived here. And it's absolutely not. Like, it's just, that's what happens for me. I had romanticized this place in my mind. And once I finally got there, I realized like this is actually really hard. And I don't know what I was thinking. It was like I was kind of like a fish out of water. Like, and I had a really hard time adjusting and coming to the grips that like reality was not what I was making it in my head, if that makes sense. With the conditional patterns I've had, like thinking that money is scarce, thinking that I wouldn't ever have like a support system. Certain things like that I was able to challenge, which was great. Living on my sunline, and I love that. But yeah, basically it forced me to get out of a fear kind of mindset or fear-based approach to life. It forced me to kind of just go for things. So I mean that was good, right? But it's also hard doing that spiritual emotional work to feel comfortable enough, safe enough to challenge your own beliefs, like to even take this step to move to my sunline. I had to overcome so many mental blocks, and finally getting there, I kind of thought I'd have the answer and the solution to all of my problems, which is so funny. And that's not what happened. Absolutely not. I had to do a lot of inner healing, inner work, which is something I'll get to in a second. That was one big takeaway for me. It was kind of like a rude awakening. I had to shed a lot in order to really enjoy my sunline experience. So there's that. Okay. Then career lessons, child. Ooh wee. So sun, in astrology, it do be representing the career or whatever. so so I went through so many career changes living on my sunline. Some for the better, some not so much. But I think one of the biggest lessons for me with career has been like while living on my sunline has just been through like the ego trips and the power plays with authority figures in my career. Remember when I said Saturn opposes my natal sun? So I've always struggled with authority figures suppressing my nature, like my desire to be creative and outgoing and confident. Like I've had authority figures in my life and it beyond career that have undermined me, that stifle me, that push their responsibilities off on me. And so therefore I have a really hard time just enjoying things and enjoying life. Like I have very much been that kind of person. Like if I have downtime, I'm working. Like I don't even know what other people are doing. Like, what do you mean you're taking a vacation? What do you mean this and that? Like I don't know that life. Like I can't relate. So I have a hard time experiencing joy, like actually truly experiencing joy and leisure, all the good qualities of Leo. Like I struggle. Okay. But yeah, so while living on my sunline, I noticed that authority figures liked to abuse their power. They often went on ego trips, really suppressed my ability to grow. So, again, that's why I say sometimes, certain things they're touted as what should be incredible experiences, but it really does depend on your own natal chart and what is triggered and activated when you are, visiting your natal points. Just saying, just saying. So I was really disappointed, I think, just as far as how my career was going initially when I was living on my sunline. It took a lot to build up. And I think that's because, again, Saturn was triggered for me. I kind of had to like grow the ranks. It was a very gradual progress, but eventually it did get to the point where I made career pivots, career changements, career adjustments. And through that, I mean, I have gained the experience that I want. I feel like I'm on a better path now than I was before. I do feel like, my career is going in a direction that I feel is more in alignment with me, that feels more truthful, more authentic, where I can be myself and I'm not masking, or self-preservation mode or working overtime. Like those are some of the career and ego lessons that I had to shed of feeling like, you got to work hard all the time. And I had shifted my perspective to that, like, I should align what I enjoy in life with my career. Right? So it's like, oh, I can wake up and not have to hate my job. Like, okay, that's different. That's different for me. So my career transformation, it's still unfolding, right? But what I will say, living on my sun line, I had, I don't know how many, at least five career transitions, at least five. So that's quite a lot. In order to grow within my career how I wanted to, I had to face these ego deaths over and over again. It was just like a recurring theme. I have, with that Saturn opposing my natal sun, these feelings of not being good enough or adequate enough to have the career I want, or struggling with imposter syndrome. And I had to challenge that at every step in order to get where I am now, where I feel like, okay, I think I can call more of the shots. Now I have more of a say. I know where I want to go. I'm not afraid to leave. I'm not afraid to say this is what I need and, respect that, or these are my boundaries, respect that. If I'm going to go have work-life balance, that's what I'm going to do. you know. Don't care if you like it or not. You don't own me as an employee. So yeah, so I experienced a lot of empowerment, which is great, right? Which is great. I'm not going to lie. And I'm probably missing some things, but do let me know if y'all have experimented with astrocartography. What's been your experience? Has the same themes played out for you? Let me know. So, something else that I had to learn with my career, because I was trying to do both a traditional job and a social media job while living on my sun line, it was very hard for me to figure out a good balance between the two. And I constantly was feeling blocked. Like, again, that natal Saturn opposing sun energy. It made things even harder because it was like, I'm trying to do both. I really want both to be successful. I'm not about to like quit my day job to just be fully independent. I would love nothing more than to do that, but we ain't there yet. You get me? So it's like I'm trying to build this and not seeing the immediate gratification of it was really hard to work through, but I continued doing it. And then after a while, it was like, okay, it's getting hard to maintain everything that I'm trying to do because all these things do bring me joy and I do want to turn all of these things into my day job. So I was trying to do all of it and it just wasn't realistic. So I did end up having to scale back on some things. I was able to shift my perspective and really say to myself, like, what is it that you would willingly like give yourself to if money were not a factor? And so that helped narrow things down for me, but it took a while to get there. So it was like I was doing all these other things and it was like I was experiencing almost like again syndrome of being like, well, who am I to do that? At every turn I had to break through these ego check moments, that inner voice, that inner critic that would tell me like, who are you to like sit up here and do this, or who are you to sit up here and talk about X, Y, and Z? No one's going to listen to you if you do this and this. And at some point I had to just be like, you know what, F it, like I'm just going to go for it. And I feel like that was that Leo energy kicking in. And so it helped me narrow things down more and just be like, okay, this is really where I need to be pouring my energy. So yeah, a lot of breakthroughs, I feel like, and all for the better, right? All for the better. But it took me a couple times to get there. And I'm still, working through things. Just because you live on your sun line doesn't mean everything magically all comes together. There's still things that I have to work on to fully get to probably like the highest expression of that energy. But I'm on my way now, I'm on my way. I feel like I'm going in the right direction now, but yeah, it took some time to get here. Another thing that I'm remembering is while I was trying to work on my traditional job and my side hobbies and try to make that like a passive form of income, I also noticed that with these ego blockages that I was having and having to like work through within my career and taking that step further into entrepreneurship, I realized like there were so many fears that I had to break through. And it was almost like every so often, like maybe every couple months, like I would have a plan. I would be like, this is what I'm going to do. I've got it all mapped out. I've got the videos planned. I've got the blog stories planned. And oh, yeah. And I have the aesthetic planned. I have everything done. And then when I would start to enact it and do it, I would get so in my mind and feeling like that imposter and feeling like it's not good enough. And I would tear it all down, and I would try again. I would delete everything, try it again. And it was just like this constant do it, build up, and then tear it all down and rebuild it again. And I don't know what that was about. Maybe it like triggered my eighth house or some Scorpio placements or something. But that is something that was a theme that was happening on this journey. And I think it was constantly challenging me to break through these ego points, that feeling of like, oh no, you need to stay safe, you can't be seen. That's a big thing. I guess this kind of fits more with the ego stuff, but I'm going to say with career too, because it applies to my career as well. But like I had to face the fear of being seen. That was a huge thing. Like I started to learn more about myself. I started to get more and more comfortable in my skin. And I had to face that. I had to confront those fears of being like, why am I so scared of being seen? What's holding me back? Because these are affecting like decisions that I'm making in my life. I constantly want to be like in the shadows and like behind the scenes, but I also feel this call to a greater purpose. I also like, everybody says it nowadays, but you get what I'm saying. I know it's a little cheesy, but hang with me. Okay. But yeah, I'm like, I feel this call to advance in this place in my career, and I can't do that if I'm constantly like, making myself small and hiding in the shadows. Like, I have to be comfortable being more vocal, being bold, not being afraid to be seen, and having my little quirks on display. Like, I can't be afraid of that anymore. Being more comfortable on camera, having to work through that. Why was I afraid? Like, if I wanted to vlog as a career, like, why was I so afraid of being on camera? Like, there's just certain things I had to work through and to finally get to the place where I am now to feel like I'm going for it. I'm going for the gusto. If this is what I want to make out of my career, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to invest my time and energy in it. And yes, I'm going to have to work through all these things that are challenging for me, but I know that it's fulfilling me. So I can't care about how uncomfortable it's going to feel. I have to do it. So that helped me, I think, as well, make these career advancements, which is why I'm mentioning it in the career section. But so, that's a little lesson or whatever that I learned while living on my sunline. And I'm very grateful for it. I really am. I don't think I would have been able to make that progress had I not moved. Okay, the next thing that I kind of touched on with the ego lessons was inner child healing. So I officially finally started and had the safe space and shelter to like dive deep into my inner child healing journey while living on my sunline. It's kind of hard to do that when you are living on your Saturn line. So that's like my only other experience that I've had. I kind of am interested to live on my Venus line, but I'm kind of scared where the Venus line goes through. So I don't know if that's going to happen. But all those stories that I like grew up with, the family generational traumas, right? That I have been actively trying to break through and break that cycle. I feel like I didn't really get a good shot at it until I lived on my sun line, which is another aspect of Leo or sun energy. It's about like your inner child. And I was able to kind of reconnect with some of the things that had been squashed by the Saturn energy, because I lived on my Saturn line before I lived on my sun line. So when I made that transition, it was very foreign to me, but it was something that I was just wanting to explore more and more. A lot of themes that I experienced as a child, some of the issues that I experienced, they were actually like happening again while I was living on my sun line, and I had to work through that. I had to address it as an adult and say, like, hey, that person that I couldn't be when I was younger, I am that person now. I had to confront, like, even in my family, because that's something I will say too, is the sun line energy triggers my fourth house energy, which is family. And so my family was also having to grapple with, this is a completely different person, right? Like, as I'm doing all this inner work, what they've known me always to, who I've always been, was changing because I was evolving. I was learning how to have boundaries for the first time in my life. So that caused some conflict. That caused some conflict within my family dynamic, because they're like, whoa, who you've always been is no longer who you are. And it's like, yeah, because I'm an adult. Like, I'm a little bit different. I have more say in my life. I have more say over what I want. I have more say over whether or not I want to continue this toxic pattern that goes on in our family. Maybe I don't want to do that, right? Like, so it was a lot of that going on. And I'm really grateful for that. I started my meditation journey while living on my sun line. Well, actually, I started on my Saturn line and I was very disciplined. I'll talk about that in my Saturn line video. But I was trying to make that a career, which is, again, goes back to the sun line energy. I really wanted to turn what my passion, right, about inner child healing, how can I help bring that to others? So I started publishing my meditations, the affirmations that I would just say to myself. I started making them into audio tracks. That's the secret channel, by the way. So maybe I'll link it. I don't know. I haven't posted on it in a very long time, but that's where the secret channel comes from, child. So I started trying to build that and make that a career, which is sun energy as well. Fifth house Leo energy is, kind of being a business owner, entrepreneur. So I was trying to like blend and merge that. It goes back to, I was trying to align my career with what brought me joy. So I'm really happy with the progress I made on my inner child healing journey. It was grueling, hard work, which is why I say sometimes we glamorize the Leo sun energy, but it's not for the faint of heart. You have to be brave. You have to be courageous. You have to make that commitment to be like, even though this is really hard, this is tough, like, I want to show up because I want to be the best person that I can be. And I want to inspire others to be the best version of themselves too. So just some things to keep in mind, child. So you might experience that if you are thinking about living on your sun line. Just be prepared. You might have to dig deep and go into some crevices of your psyche that you have not visited in a very long time. I kind of see it as like a coming of age. Even if like you're older, you may shed some of the beliefs and stories that you held on to as a child. That was something that I had to come to terms with or face, was what the perspective I may have had as a child. Now I'm seeing the other side of it as an adult, or now I'm understanding things and I can put things in more context and come out with a little bit more, empathy, more compassion, more empowerment. I don't know how to explain it, but I think I'm doing all right. Definitely keep that in mind before you go like, yeah, that's the one I want to live on. Cause I literally was like, oh my God, anything has to be better than living on my Saturn line. And now I'm like, Actually, the Saturn line wasn't so bad. Anyways, so moving on. So family life. As I said, sun energy, Leo energy, it does trigger my fourth house. My family life changed quite a bit. For the most part, the maternal figures, which is also represented by the fourth house or like Cancer energy, the maternal figures in my life, that kind of started to change. So who I had always seen as a maternal figure, that transitioned for me. And the person I started to see as my maternal figure, they took on more of a mentor, guide, kind of that cheerleader, supportive figure person in my life that I had not experienced before because, like I said, Saturn opposes my natal sun. Okay. So it was a learning experience, a learning curve for me to all of a sudden go from not having positive, joyous, supportive, cheerleading like energy in my life to suddenly having that and feeling like I don't deserve this. I'm not worthy of this. That's where that inner child healing work had to come into play. Okay. That was triggered. And then connecting with family members I hadn't connected with in a long time, understanding family dynamics, reconfiguring what family meant to me. I had always seen it as a certain thing and with these certain people, and that changed drastically while living on my sun line. I had to kind of come to terms with this is the new definition of family for me. This is now what I see as family. This is, now more of a, I see my, the chosen family as more of my family now. Does that make sense? So it's like what I had always seen, that traditional definition of family, that's not how it was playing out for me. So it was like, okay, I need to shift, need to pivot. What does family mean to me? If somebody can't accept me now as an adult versus a child, because now you can't just control me, you can't just say da 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 and think I'm going to be fine with it. You can't just disrespect me. You can't walk all over my boundaries. If that's not something family can accept, then who is my family? So those were some of the lessons that I was working through, like that inner child healing, those ego lessons. And so I landed on family, chosen family is probably what makes more sense for me. And then once I accepted that, I was able to enjoy that energy a little bit more. I really threw myself into the people that did give me that feeling. And at one point I was like, okay, well, I just want to be able to create my own family. But then I realized I was like, that's not really what I want. I don't really want kids. But it was just like this discovery journey that was going on. And I was able to officially, cut off toxic family relationships. Sometimes I feel like Leo energy can enter dictatorship a little bit if it's on like the dark side. And I was finding that there were people that thought they could dictate what life was supposed to be for me according to their values, according to their beliefs. And so I was able to cut those people off. They revealed, that face to me. And I was just like, okay, now that I see who you are, what you think I should be doing with my life, maybe this connection, it shouldn't be. Maybe it's not healthy and maybe I shouldn't have it in my life anymore. If that's something that you can't come to accept me as I am, or for what I want in life and just be a supportive ally in that, then I'm going to move on with my life and I'm going to go find my joy somewhere else. Like, that's just that on that. So beware of that. It may not happen like this for you because, again, it may not trigger the same house for you or planets that you have conjunct your sun or even your sun. So yeah, just think about that. So the other thing I noticed and experienced while living on my sun line was how often I moved. Like my home life was transformed. Okay. And that just goes back to the sun line triggering my fourth house energy. So it affected my family, my home life, all of that. And ciao. I moved as many career transitions that I had. I think I also moved that same amount, or maybe more. Yeah, not a very good feeling. Whatever point rules your fourth house, just be prepared to know that you're probably going to move a lot. That's not something that I prepared for. And now that I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, that makes total sense. I should have been aware of that. But yeah, so your home life might be completely transformed. Like again, I did make those gradual steps to move out of what I had always known, which was, living with other people. Now that's becoming less and less as I advance in my career, as I advance in life and all that, right? So, yes, I moved quite a lot. I also actually sold my car, which is another fourth house activation. So I'm just like, everything that happens, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. If you pull up the astrology, it makes sense. So yeah, I was really surprised by that. But also, too, I noticed that my decor style for home changed. So may have mentioned it. I think I did mention it in my A Conscious Home series, like the first video. My design style, it has remained the same, but it's just like the different colors have changed. And now I'm more in like that sun golden. I like the browns, the tans, the neutrals. And I think that's because of how much my taste transformed while living on my sun line. It's so funny. It's so funny. But now I'm like, I've gone from wanting all white furniture and decor and accents and stuff to all gray to now I'm like where I've softly landed on. I like neutrals. Let's add a little bit of brown and color and creams, caramels. You know what I'm saying? Like I like that now. Now I'm like, I like the warm vibe, the warmness, the coziness, the coffee shop richness. Like I like that now. Which is so wild to think about. But I like completely made that transition while living on my sun line. So but also I think while living on my sunline, I try to make more of an effort to enjoy my home environment. As I transformed in my career, I liked spending more time at home. We know the panorama happened. So I liked spending more time at home and wanted my job to be more remote home based. So therefore that made me want to invest more in my home space and make it more cozy, make it more lively, make it more warm, make it, not just here's where all my stuff lives while I'm out at work. Right? Like so it was like, how can I enjoy this space more? So just some things, you know what I'm saying? The sunline was positive for that. Okay, something else that I'm just now remembering too that happened while living on my sunline is literally, okay, so I experienced more sunshine, literally. I know this is very literal, while living on my sunline and incredible heat that I was not used to. And it did cause a lot of like health issues for me because it was a completely different climate that I wasn't used to. I've talked about it on this channel before. It led to some health issues that I was never prepared. Like I never would have thought would have happened. I actually thought moving to my sunline would be better for me and, health conditions I already, was experiencing at that point. And to know or learn that it just led to other issues was so weird to like, it was the weirdest experience. I never thought that would happen. I mean, literally like my skin was warmer. Everything about me was warmer. My skin got oily, where before it's been more like dry combo. Okay. But like everything changed. Like I started getting heat rashes and so wild that I'm like just now making that connection. I'm like, that was all on my sunline. It makes so much sense. But yeah, anyways, so that I just wanted to add that. So we'll keep it moving. The last thing, child, that I want to talk about is dating, which is another aspect of sun energy. It's more like the upbeat side of Leo sun energy, is like the romance, the dating. I wouldn't say I experienced any drama, which is good because that can sometimes come out of Leo or sun energy. But I did not experience the drama. I did go on, a couple dates or whatever. Cue the video where I was trying all the dating apps. I'll put it up. I'll put it up here if I remember. But where I was like trying dating apps and stuff, I became more interested in trying to invest in my dating life while I was working on myself and advancing my career. I started to feel like, okay, I'm getting a footing, things are making sense. Maybe it's that time, you know what I'm saying, to get a boo or whatever. And so I did go, on some dates and stuff, but nothing too much came out of it. But it was a transition for me because I had always been like a career first kind of person, didn't really pour that much into dating. But, very different for me. But I will say, I still think the Saturn energy was triggered for me because I did feel there were some blockages there just from like the external parties, like whatever dating apps I was using. Whenever I made a connection, sometimes the people would just ghost, and it was like, what's happening? Like, I'm making an effort. What's happening? So, that didn't last too long because I'm just like, chow, I ain't got time. But it was something that was triggered during my time on my sun, living on my sunline. So I did want to mention it. But yeah, so that's all that I experienced. It was a huge transformative period in my life. And while it was challenging, I am grateful for the experiences that I had while living on my sunline. There were some limitations and restrictions because where I was more expensive than I thought it was going to be, which, when you're used to living a certain way on your Saturn line, it can be jarring to go to like sunline energy and you want to go out and you want to enjoy life. Like, I was trying to do more leisure activities, like going out to eat, and I was trying the things, and it kind of just didn't feel right because I'm used to Saturn energy and like living on my Saturn line, that I was just like, I don't know, it don't feel right. Like, it feels like I'm spending too much money, but it was fine. But it was just like, it feels like I'm doing something dirty and wrong. Like, but yeah, so living on my sunline has been good for getting me out of that mindset of, you know, it's wrong to experience joy, or it's wrong to have leisure time, or it's wrong to like go out. Like, I don't know. It got me out of that, which I'm really happy. So now, I feel like anywhere else I'm at, I can do things more freely. I've been able to work through these mental walls and blockages and understand, like, life doesn't have to be hard or small and restrictive. Like, you can expand and still do it humbly. And I think just like taking ownership of wanting to do that. So I don't know, it's a lot. I think if I'll share a little bit more in the Saturn line video, but I actually prefer living on my Saturn line, which is wild. I really do, because now it's like I have the perspective of the sun energy, so it's like, it's I can make it work. But all in all, I do think that living on your sun line, it will teach you some things. If you are like me and you've experienced a lot of obstacles in life, you've had those toxic family dynamics, you will learn a lot about yourself. You will learn a lot about the people around you and how that affects your perspective on life. So I do recommend it. Maybe y'all will have a better, child, what's going on? Maybe y'all will have a better experience than I did. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you'll like it a little bit more, but child, as of right now, I would take living on my Saturn line over living on my sun line any day, child, any day. So that's just that on that, child. But yes, so do let me know, what did you experience if you've dabbled in astrocartography? Have you lived anywhere else? Are you comfortable like sharing some of the places? Because I mean, I'm not, child. I don't think I would. If I did, it would be behind the paywall. But um, yeah, y'all let me know. You all let me know. Yeah. But that's kind of that on that. So yeah, y'all know what it is. Until the next one, take care of yourselves, others in the planet. Bye. I was able to see. Hmm, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Like ego lessons. Ciao. So y'all like that we got a little ring light? She kind of clocking my wig though. Y'all could like see the lace a little bit, but got a little ring light. We trying to make some improvements or whatever. Oh, let me turn this off. Let me take this off. Yeah. So we got some improvements or whatever. Also, I'm hoping the audio is better. I am so sorry, y'all. I don't know what be going on. The audio be totally fine, and then when I'm listening back to it while editing, it's just like, what? Why is it so choppy? I had to scrap the video that I had originally recorded for this week, and so we coming on last minute chat, which is why the ring light, she's ringing. She's very bright. She is not demure and she is not mindful, child. She is blinding the ever living love out of my eyeballs. But you know, we do what we gotta do to make sure y'all got a video or whatever. But you know, oh, I should say that. Oh my God. I should say this too. Okay, child, we need to end this video because I am over it and it's getting darker and I don't know. But the ring light, she's on overdrive right now. She literally on 10. So I gotta go. I gotta go, child. Let me skedaddle. I would try to record the video that we had to scrap while I got some more downtime. So you know what it is, you know what it do, y'all know what it is. Until the next one. What the fuck? Oh, oh, I'm like remembering all these things. I should have wrote this stuff down. I'm not gonna say the outro again. But yes. Okay, now we're done. Now we're done. Now we're done. We need to be done because I have to edit this now. Okay, bye.